The kitchen clock struck midnight. The beef stew I cooked 3 hours ago sat cold on the counter. I stared at the front door, waiting for the doorknob to turn. My phone buzzed on the table. A text from Chloe Vance appeared. Still stuck at the office, Ethan Vance. Mr. Arthur Sterling needs these final revisions by morning. Do not wait up for Chloe Vance. I sighed, typing back immediately. I understand, Chloe Vance. Eat something. I love you. I put the phone down, rubbing my tired eyes. For 3 months, this was the exact routine. Chloe Vance worked past midnight every single night. The house felt empty, but I reminded myself that Chloe Vance sacrificed sleep for our future promotion. I trusted Chloe Vance completely. The next afternoon, I stood in the living room holding a small cardboard box. I pulled out a tiny, high-definition security camera. My younger brother, Marcus Vance, walked into the house without knocking, holding a cup of coffee. "What is that gadget, Ethan Vance?" Marcus Vance asked, leaning against the wall. "A security camera," I replied, mounting the camera carefully inside the bookshelf, hidden behind a row of architectural books. "Our wedding anniversary is next week. I plan to set up a massive surprise presentation here. I want to capture Chloe Vance's genuine reaction when Chloe Vance walks through that door." Marcus Vance took a slow sip of coffee, staring at the camera. "A surprise? Are you sure Chloe Vance likes surprises, Ethan Vance?" Chloe Vance seems deeply stressed about work lately. "Chloe Vance works so hard, Marcus Vance," I said, adjusting the camera lens to face the front door. "Chloe Vance deserves to know how much I appreciate everything. This camera records directly to my phone app." Marcus Vance smiled, tapping my shoulder. "You are a great husband, Ethan Vance. I hope Chloe Vance appreciates the effort." "Thank you, Marcus Vance. That means a lot," I said. Later that night, the cold routine repeated. The clock passed 1 a.m., then 1:30 a.m. I sat in bed, unable to sleep. I opened the security app on my phone, checking the live feed of our dark living room just to pass the time. At exactly 2:04 a.m., the front door lock clicked. I leaned forward, watching the screen. Chloe Vance stepped inside, glowing under the streetlights. But Chloe Vance was not alone. Another figure followed Chloe Vance into the house, closing the door softly. The camera night vision adjusted, rendering the faces perfectly clear. It was Marcus Vance. My heart hammered against my ribs. Marcus Vance. Why was Marcus Vance with Chloe Vance at 2 in the morning? On the screen, Chloe Vance turned around and threw both arms around Marcus Vance's neck. Marcus Vance pulled Chloe Vance close, kissing Chloe Vance deeply right in the center of our living room. I stopped breathing. The phone trembled violently in my hands. "Careful, Marcus Vance," Chloe Vance whispered on the audio feed, giggling softly. "Ethan Vance sleeps like a rock, but we must be quiet." Marcus Vance laughed, pulling my black leather design portfolio out from under a jacket. "Did you manage to grab the master blueprints from Ethan Vance's desk?" "Of course I did," Chloe Vance said, tapping the portfolio proudly. "Ethan Vance leaves everything unlocked. Ethan Vance thinks I am looking at corporate tax forms. Ethan Vance has absolutely no idea." Marcus Vance opened the portfolio, flipping through my months of hard architectural work under the dim light. "This is perfect, Chloe Vance. Mr. Arthur Sterling will pay a fortune for these blueprints. Ethan Vance's talent will finally make us rich. Ethan Vance is too safe, too boring," Chloe Vance scoffed, running fingers through Marcus Vance's hair. "Ethan Vance wants to build small suburban homes. We belong in the big leagues, Marcus Vance. Once Mr. Arthur Sterling buys these, we can finally leave Ethan Vance behind. Soon, Chloe Vance. Very soon," Marcus Vance murmured, kissing Chloe Vance's cheek. "Just keep playing the tired, hard-working wife for a few more weeks." "I deserve an award for acting, Marcus Vance," Chloe Vance laughed softly. "Every time Ethan Vance cooks dinner or leaves sweet notes, I want to scream." I stared at the screen, completely paralyzed. The words cut through my chest like jagged glass. The two people I loved most in the world stood in my living room, mocking my love, stealing my livelihood, and destroying my soul. Chloe Vance handed the portfolio back to Marcus Vance. "Take the designs to your apartment, Marcus Vance. Keep them safe until the meeting with Mr. Arthur Sterling." "Consider it done, Chloe Vance," Marcus Vance said, grabbing the doorknob. "See you tomorrow at the usual spot." "Good night, Marcus Vance," Chloe Vance whispered. Marcus Vance slipped out the front door, locking it quietly. Chloe Vance stood in the living room for a moment, smoothing out a skirt, fixing messy hair, and wiping away smudged lipstick. Chloe Vance took a deep, steady breath, transforming the deceitful face back into the tired, innocent mask of my wife. I heard Chloe Vance's soft footsteps coming up the stairs. I quickly turned off my phone, shoving it under my pillow. I closed my eyes, forcing my breathing to remain steady, pretending to be fast asleep. The bedroom door creaked open. Chloe Vance walked in, slipping out of shoes. I felt the mattress sink as Chloe Vance crawled into bed beside me. Chloe Vance placed a cold hand on my bare shoulder, kissing the back of my neck. "I am home, Ethan Vance," Chloe Vance whispered into the dark room. "I am so tired. The office is draining the life out of me." I kept my eyes closed tight, fighting the tears that threatened to spill over. The skin where Chloe Vance touched me burned with pure disgust. My mind screamed, but my lips remained glued shut. I realized right then that my marriage was a lie. My brother was a thief. My life was completely shattered, but I could not cry. Not yet. I needed to stay silent. I needed to watch. I needed to prepare, because the people who stole my trust were going to learn exactly what happens when Ethan Vance fights back. The next morning, sunlight flooded the kitchen, but the warmth felt completely hollow. I sat at the table, clutching a hot mug of coffee just to keep my hands from shaking. Chloe Vance walked into the kitchen, wearing a pristine corporate suit, smiling warmly. "Good morning, Ethan Vance. Did you sleep well? You look a bit pale." I forced my lips into a tight, fake smile. "I am just tired, Chloe Vance. Did you finish those revisions for Mr. Arthur Sterling last night?" Chloe Vance poured a glass of orange juice, nodding quickly. "Yes, Ethan Vance. It was exhausting. Mr. Arthur Sterling keeps demanding perfection, but the promotion will be worth every sleepless night." "I am sure it will be, Chloe Vance," I said, my voice dangerously calm. The front door opened, and Marcus Vance stepped inside, whistling a cheerful tune. Marcus Vance looked at me, then at Chloe Vance, without a single hint of guilt. "Hey, Ethan Vance." "Morning, Chloe Vance," Marcus Vance said, tossing car keys onto the counter. "I came by to see if you needed help with that anniversary surprise presentation you mentioned yesterday." I stared at Marcus Vance, remembering the footage of my brother holding my stolen design portfolio. "No, Marcus Vance. I actually decided to cancel the presentation. I think a simple dinner will be enough for Chloe Vance." Marcus Vance shrugged, reaching into the refrigerator. "Suit yourself, Ethan Vance. By the way, can I borrow your laptop later? My computer is acting up, and I have some personal banking to sort out." "Sure, Marcus Vance. Use the laptop in the study," I replied. As soon as Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance left the room, I opened my phone app. I needed concrete evidence. Over the next 2 weeks, I turned into a ghost in my own home, watching every movement through the hidden camera lens. The security camera footage revealed the ugly, undeniable truth. Every afternoon, while I worked at my drafting table upstairs, Marcus Vance and Chloe Vance met in our living room. They were not just having a passionate affair. They were executing a calculated crime. "Did you copy the structural specifications for the downtown luxury tower, Chloe Vance?" Marcus Vance asked on the video feed one rainy afternoon, spreading my blueprint copies across the table. "I got everything, Marcus Vance," Chloe Vance replied, leaning over the papers. "Ethan Vance spent 6 months calculating these structural weight limits. Mr. Arthur Sterling is desperate for these exact dimensions. Mr. Arthur Sterling promised me a direct partnership in the firm once we deliver these files." Marcus Vance grinned, rubbing hands together greedily. "Beautiful. My broker already set up the offshore account. Once Mr. Arthur Sterling transfers the cash, I am buying that sports car, and we can finally start planning the relocation. We must empty Ethan Vance's joint savings account first, Marcus Vance," Chloe Vance added, a cold look crossing the beautiful face. "I want to leave Ethan Vance penniless. Ethan Vance deserves nothing. Ethan Vance is a small-minded designer who holds me back." Watching the screen upstairs, the emotional pain cut deep into my chest, but the crying stopped. The heartbreaking despair transformed into a cold, hard desire for justice. They wanted to destroy my life, but I was going to destroy their plans completely. The next day, I drove to a quiet diner on the edge of the city. I sat in a corner booth, waiting anxiously. A sharp, professional woman in a dark trench coat walked inside and slid into the booth across from me. Detective Clara Diaz adjusted her glasses, and looked at me with serious eyes. "You sound incredibly urgent on the phone, Ethan Vance," Detective Clara Diaz said, placing a notepad on the table. "What exactly is happening?" "My wife, Chloe Vance, and my brother, Marcus Vance, are stealing my architectural blueprints," I said, my voice steady despite the rage burning inside. "They are selling my proprietary intellectual property to Chloe Vance's boss, Mr. Arthur Sterling. But it gets worse, Detective Clara Diaz. They are planning to launder the corporate payouts through offshore accounts to bankrupt me." Detective Clara Diaz leaned forward, frowning deeply. "That is corporate espionage and grand theft, Ethan Vance. Do you have any proof of these conversations?" I slid my phone across the table, playing the recorded security camera footage. Detective Clara Diaz watched the video silently, watching Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance plot the theft of my design portfolios. "This video footage is excellent, Ethan Vance," Detective Clara Diaz whispered, sliding the phone back. "But to lock this case down, we need to track the actual financial trail. Marcus Vance mentioned an offshore account. We need the routing numbers and the transaction logs showing Mr. Arthur Sterling's incoming corporate transfers. Marcus Vance uses my study laptop to manage the personal banking," I explained. "Marcus Vance thinks I am completely clueless." "Perfect," Detective Clara Diaz said, writing down notes. "I will obtain a warrant to monitor those specific digital bank transfers. Keep acting normal, Ethan Vance. Do not let Chloe Vance or Marcus Vance suspect a single thing. Let them think they are winning." "How long will the financial tracking take, Detective Clara Diaz?" I asked. "Give me 1 week, Ethan Vance," Detective Clara Diaz replied, looking at me with genuine empathy. "My team will trace every cent Marcus Vance moves. Just hold on a little longer." I returned home that evening, finding Chloe Vance sitting on the sofa, typing furiously on a tablet. "You are home late, Ethan Vance," Chloe Vance said without looking up. "I was just taking a long walk, Chloe Vance," I said, hanging my jacket up. "The city is changing so fast. Sometimes you do not even recognize the people around you." Chloe Vance finally looked up, giving a small, dismissive laugh. "You are always so dramatic, Ethan Vance. By the way, Mr. Arthur Sterling invited us to a major corporate gala next week. You should wear your best suit." "I would love to go, Chloe Vance," I said, looking straight into my wife's eyes. "I am truly looking forward to meeting Mr. Arthur Sterling." "Good," Chloe Vance said, returning to the tablet screen. "It is a very important night for my future." I walked upstairs to the empty bedroom, staring out at the dark Chicago skyline. Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance believed they were spinning a perfect web of deceit around me. They believed I was the blind, trusting fool who would lose everything. They had no idea that Detective Clara Diaz was already untangling their web, thread by thread, and the trap they built for me was about to snap shut on themselves. I sat alone in the dark study, staring at my drafting table. A massive moral dilemma tore through my mind. Part of me, the weak, nostalgic part, wanted to confront them. I wanted to scream at Chloe Vance, to ask my own brother, Marcus Vance, how he could do this to me. Should I forgive my family, confront them, and try to mend the shattered pieces? Or should I completely destroy them? I looked down at the wedding ring on my finger, then remembered the security camera footage of Chloe Vance mocking my small suburban home designs. I remembered Marcus Vance greedily plotting to leave me penniless. No, forgiveness would only give them a chance to escape. They chose betrayal, so I chose justice. I picked up a black ink pen and pulled out a fresh sheet of architectural drafting paper. For 3 days, I worked late into the night, creating a set of fake, highly detailed architectural blueprints. To an ordinary person, or even an ambitious executive, the designs looked like a flawless masterpiece for a massive commercial skyscraper. But hidden deep within the structural calculations, I purposefully introduced a major, catastrophic flaw. The load-bearing columns were miscalculated by exactly 20%. If built, the structure would suffer an absolute, devastating structural failure. The next morning, I rolled up the fake blueprints and left them carelessly spread out across the study table. I purposely left the door wide open. "I'm heading out to buy some supplies, Chloe Vance." I called out toward the bedroom. "All right, Ethan Vance. Take your time," Chloe Vance shouted back. I walked down the street, pulled out my phone, and opened the hidden security camera app. I watched the live feed of the study. Within 5 minutes, Chloe Vance walked into the room, holding a smartphone. Chloe Vance approached the drafting table, unrolling my fake blueprints with shaking, eager hands. Chloe Vance smiled a wicked, triumphant smile and began taking high-resolution photographs of every single page. An hour later, I returned home. Marcus Vance was sitting on our living room sofa, pretending to watch television, while Chloe Vance stood nearby in the kitchen. "Hey, Ethan Vance," Marcus Vance said, looking up with a forced grin. "Chloe Vance and I were just talking about your latest project. How is the commercial skyscraper design coming along?" "It is finally finished, Marcus Vance," I said, putting my keys down. I left the master files on the study table. "It is my best work yet. It is worth millions to the right firm." Chloe Vance walked into the living room, holding 2 plates of sandwiches. "That is wonderful, Ethan Vance. You should really take a break now." Marcus Vance offered to take your heavy design portfolios to the local printing shop later to make digital backups for you. "That is very kind of you, Marcus Vance," I replied, looking directly at my brother. "Make sure those files get into the right hands." "Trust me, Ethan Vance," Marcus Vance said, flashing a deceptive smile. "I will handle them with extreme care." That very afternoon, through the digital tracking software Detective Clara Diaz helped me install on the study laptop, I watched the trap spring forward. Marcus Vance accessed the laptop, downloaded the digital copies Chloe Vance had photographed, and transferred them to an encrypted external drive. Later that evening, my phone rang. The screen displayed the name of Detective Clara Diaz. I hurried up to the privacy of the bathroom and answered it quickly. "Detective Clara Diaz, do you have updates?" I whispered into the receiver. "We have everything we need, Ethan Vance," Detective Clara Diaz replied, her voice filled with professional satisfaction. "My team successfully secured the official bank records from the offshore account Marcus Vance opened. We just intercepted a massive digital wire transfer. Mr. Arthur Sterling just transferred exactly $500,000 into that specific account." "Did the funds come directly from Mr. Arthur Sterling's corporate account?" I asked, my heart pounding with intense anticipation. "Yes," Detective Clara Diaz confirmed. "The transaction logs clearly show the money moving from Mr. Arthur Sterling's firm directly to Marcus Vance's offshore shell company." 10 minutes later, Marcus Vance initiated a secondary transfer, moving exactly half of that money, $250,000, directly into a private account registered under Chloe Vance's maiden name. They are officially laundering stolen corporate funds together. I leaned against the tiled wall, a deep, cold sense of relief washing over me. "What is our next step, Detective Clara Diaz?" "We wait for the corporate gala tomorrow night," Detective Clara Diaz said firmly. "Let Mr. Arthur Sterling officially present those stolen, flawed blueprints to his investors. Once the design is public and the financial trail is locked, we move in. Are you ready for this, Ethan Vance?" "I have never been more ready in my entire life, Detective Clara Diaz," I said, gripping the phone tightly. I walked back down the stairs, finding Chloe Vance standing in front of the hallway mirror, holding up a sparkling evening gown for the upcoming corporate gala. "Do you think Mr. Arthur Sterling will like this dress, Ethan Vance?" Chloe Vance asked, turning side to side, admiring the reflection. "Tomorrow night is going to change our lives completely. I can feel it." "I completely agree with you, Chloe Vance," I said, walking up behind my wife, looking at our reflections in the glass. "Tomorrow night will be absolutely unforgettable for both you and Marcus Vance." Chloe Vance smiled, touching the fabric of the expensive dress. "Mr. Arthur Sterling told me that the firm is announcing a massive new skyscraper project tomorrow. The developer already paid a huge deposit for the blueprints." "That is incredible news, Chloe Vance," I said, keeping my face completely expressionless. "Your hard work is finally paying off." The power dynamic had shifted completely into my hands. Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance believed they were the masterminds, spinning a web to leave me broke and brokenhearted. They had no idea that the brilliant blueprints they stole were a structural nightmare waiting to collapse, and the hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in their secret bank accounts were nothing but a digital paper trail leading straight to a prison cell. I smiled into the mirror, watching my wife celebrate her own impending doom. The atmosphere inside the grand ballroom of the corporate gala was suffocating. Chandeliers hung from the high ceilings, casting bright light over hundreds of wealthy investors. I stood near the back wall, holding a glass of water, watching Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance. They stood right next to Mr. Arthur Sterling, laughing and drinking expensive champagne. Mr. Arthur Sterling stepped up to the microphone on the main stage, tapping it to gain the crowd's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight my firm is proud to unveil the blueprints for the future of our city's skyline. Thanks to the brilliant acquisition work by Chloe Vance, we have secured a revolutionary structural design. The crowd applauded loudly as a massive digital screen behind Mr. Arthur Sterling flashed, displaying my fake, flawed skyscraper blueprints. I looked closely at the load-bearing column calculations on the screen. The trap was officially public. Suddenly, Mr. Arthur Sterling's head assistant rushed onto the stage, face completely pale, whispering frantically into Mr. Arthur Sterling's ear. Mr. Arthur Sterling's smile instantly vanished, replaced by an expression of pure horror. Mr. Arthur Sterling dropped the microphone, creating a loud, echoing screech through the speakers, and hurried off the stage toward the private VIP conference room. Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance exchanged confused, worried glances and quickly followed Mr. Arthur Sterling. I set my glass down on a table and quietly walked down the hallway, slipping into the shadows just outside the slightly open door of the VIP room. Inside, Mr. Arthur Sterling was slamming a heavy fist onto the wooden conference table, screaming in absolute rage. What is the meaning of this, Chloe Vance? The Independent City Engineering Board just reviewed the digital uploads of these blueprints. They ordered an immediate, total emergency shutdown of our groundbreaking site. Chloe Vance gasped, taking a step back, trembling. What? Mr. Arthur Sterling, that is impossible. Those blueprints are completely flawless. They are a catastrophic structural failure waiting to happen. Mr. Arthur Sterling roared, throwing a folder of printed engineering notes straight at Chloe Vance's face. The load-bearing column weight limits are miscalculated by exactly 20%. If we build this skyscraper, the entire central core will suffer a total collapse under its own weight. The city is pulling our corporate licenses, the primary investors are already withdrawing their funds, and my firm is facing complete financial ruin. No, there must be some mistake. Chloe Vance panicked, hands shaking violently as Chloe Vance grabbed the engineering notes. I did not design them myself, Mr. Arthur Sterling. I do not care who drew them. Mr. Arthur Sterling screamed, veins bulging on his forehead. Your name is on the acquisition contract, Chloe Vance. You personally guaranteed the integrity of these proprietary files. You took a $500,000 corporate payout from my firm. I am going to sue you for every single cent you own. I will make sure you spend the rest of your miserable life behind bars. Chloe Vance's face turned completely white. Chloe Vance immediately turned around, pointing a sharp, manicured finger directly at Marcus Vance, who was trying to sneak toward the back exit door. It was Marcus Vance. Chloe Vance shrieked, voice cracking with pure desperation. Mr. Arthur Sterling, please listen to me. Marcus Vance brought these blueprints to me. Marcus Vance told me they were verified and ready. Marcus Vance is the one who set up the offshore account to launder the corporate money. Marcus Vance forced me into this scheme. Marcus Vance stopped in his tracks, face twisting into a furious, venomous snarl as Marcus Vance turned back to confront Chloe Vance. Are you completely insane, Chloe Vance? You are the one who photographed the files from Ethan Vance's study table. You came to me begging for a way to hide the corporate funds because you wanted to leave Ethan Vance penniless. Do not try to drag me down to save your own skin, you selfish snake. You wanted the sports car, Marcus Vance. Chloe Vance screamed, stepping right up to Marcus Vance, shoving his chest aggressively. You wanted the luxury lifestyle. You told me Ethan Vance was a small-minded fool who deserved to lose everything. You stole the design portfolios from the house. Because you handed them to me, Chloe Vance. Marcus Vance roared back, grabbing Chloe Vance's wrists, shaking Chloe Vance angrily. You wanted to ruin Ethan Vance, just as much as I did. I am not taking the fall for your corporate fraud. I am going to tell the prosecutors exactly how you planned the entire theft. I stood in the shadows just outside the doorway, watching the toxic bond between my wife and my brother completely disintegrate into a pathetic, screaming match. The fake love, the shared laughter, the greedy promises they made while standing in my living room at 2 a.m, all of it shattered in a matter of minutes under the weight of their own selfishness. They were tearing each other apart to save themselves, and I felt absolutely no pity. That is enough, both of you. A calm, authoritative voice echoed down the hallway. Detective Clara Diaz stepped out from around the corner, flanked by four uniformed, armed police officers. Detective Clara Diaz pushed the VIP room door wide open, stepping into the center of the room with a stack of official legal documents. Chloe Vance, Marcus Vance, step away from each other immediately, Detective Clara Diaz commanded, holding up the paperwork. I am Detective Clara Diaz. We have official warrants for your immediate arrest. The digital bank records from your offshore shell companies have been seized, showing the direct laundering of $500,000 of stolen corporate funds. Chloe Vance fell to her knees on the carpet, sobbing hysterically. Detective Clara Diaz, please. Marcus Vance tricked me. I am an innocent victim. Save it for the judge, Chloe Vance. Detective Clara Diaz said coldly. The police officers stepped forward, pulling Marcus Vance's arms behind his back, clicking the cold steel handcuffs around his wrists. Marcus Vance struggled, cursing loudly, while another officer pulled Chloe Vance up from the floor, securing Chloe Vance's hands behind her back as well. As the officers began leading the two criminals out into the hallway, I stepped out from the deep shadows, standing directly in their path. Chloe Vance looked up, tear-filled eyes widening in absolute shock when Chloe Vance saw me standing there, completely calm, wearing my best suit. Ethan Vance, you are here? Please, Ethan Vance, tell these police officers there is a mistake. Help me, Ethan Vance. I love you. Marcus Vance stared at me, jaw dropping as the realization finally hit his treacherous mind. The blueprints, the 20% miscalculation, you knew, Ethan Vance. You set us up. I looked at my brother, then down at my wife, my voice echoing with a cold, unshakable finality. I did not set you up, Marcus Vance. I simply left my work on my desk. You and Chloe Vance are the ones who chose to steal it. Enjoy the consequences. The police officers dragged Marcus Vance and Chloe Vance down the long corridor, their desperate screams fading away as the house of cards they built completely collapsed into ruin. The air inside the county jail visiting room was thick with the scent of cheap detergent and old plastic. I sat down on the cold metal chair, staring through the thick, scratched glass divider. On the other side, a heavy steel door buzzed open. A guard led Chloe Vance into the room. The elegant corporate suits, the pristine jewelry, and the perfectly styled hair were entirely gone. Chloe Vance wore a baggy, bright orange jumpsuit, skin pale, and eyes hollow under the harsh fluorescent lights. Chloe Vance picked up the plastic telephone receiver with trembling, handcuffed hands. I slowly lifted my own receiver, pressing it to my ear. Ethan Vance, Chloe Vance sobbed, a flood of tears immediately spilling down the pale cheeks. Thank you for coming, Ethan Vance. I am so deeply sorry. The prosecutors are offering me a 10-year plea deal for corporate fraud and grand theft. Please, Ethan Vance, talk to Detective Clara Diaz. Tell the judge that I was confused, that Marcus Vance manipulated me. If you hire a good lawyer for me, I can beat these charges. I sat completely still, listening to the frantic, breathless pleading. Chloe Vance pressed a hand against the cold glass, looking at me with absolute desperation. Ethan Vance, please say something. Chloe Vance cried, banging a fist weakly against the divider. We built a life together. Think about our wedding day. Think about all the beautiful memories. I made a terrible mistake, but I still love you, Ethan Vance. I swear I will make it up to you if you just help me get out of this nightmare. I looked directly into the tear-filled eyes of my wife, waiting for a surge of anger, or a wave of heartbreak, or a single drop of grief. But as I sat there in the silence, I realized something incredible. I felt absolutely nothing. The desperate crying did not move my heart. The sight of Chloe Vance in handcuffs did not bring me joy, nor did it bring me sorrow. The toxic hold Chloe Vance once had over my emotions was entirely broken. The old memories are dead, Chloe Vance, I said, my voice smooth, steady, and devoid of any warmth. You did not think about our marriage when you brought Marcus Vance into our living room at 2 a.m. You did not think about our future when you copied my architectural blueprints to leave me penniless. You are not crying because you regret hurting me, Chloe Vance. You are crying because you got caught. Ethan Vance, no. Chloe Vance shrieked through the speaker. That is not true. I love you. Goodbye, Chloe Vance, I said calmly. I hung the plastic receiver back onto the wall hook, completely cutting off the sound of Chloe Vance's desperate screams. I stood up from the metal chair, turned my back on the glass divider, and walked through the heavy security doors without looking back a single time. Later that afternoon, Detective Clara Diaz met me in the lobby of the precinct, handing me a final legal update file. Marcus Vance officially refused a plea bargain. Ethan Vance, Detective Clara Diaz explained, crossing arms over a dark blazer. Marcus Vance tried to blame the entire operation on the offshore bank brokers, but the financial paper trail we pulled from your study laptop was absolute bulletproof evidence. The grand jury indicted Marcus Vance on multiple counts of corporate espionage, money laundering, and structural sabotage. Marcus Vance is looking at 20 consecutive years in a maximum security federal facility. Does Marcus Vance have any legal representation left? I asked. None, Detective Clara Diaz replied, shaking her head with a grim expression. Marcus Vance's personal assets have been completely frozen to pay back the corporate developer deposits. The family has entirely abandoned Marcus Vance, and Marcus Vance's secret brokers have vanished. Marcus Vance is completely alone. Thank you for everything, Detective Clara Diaz, I said, shaking her hand firmly. Justice was served perfectly. You survived a massive storm, Ethan Vance, Detective Clara Diaz said with a warm, supportive smile. Take care of yourself. 2 days later, I stood in the empty living room of my old house. The furniture was gone, the walls were bare, and the hidden security camera had been uninstalled weeks ago. The house no longer felt like a home. It was just a hollow shell filled with the ghosts of past betrayals. A real estate agent stood by the front door, holding a clipboard, while my corporate attorney laid out a thick stack of legal documents on the kitchen counter. The buyers signed the closing papers, Ethan Vance, the real estate agent said, smiling. The wire transfer for the full sale value of the property is already in your private bank account. Excellent, I said, stepping up to the counter. My attorney pointed a pen toward the final page of a separate legal document. And these are the absolute final divorce decrees, Ethan Vance. Once you place your signature right here, your marriage to Chloe Vance is legally dissolved forever. Chloe Vance signed her portion from the county facility yesterday morning. I took the black ink pen into my hand. Without a single moment of hesitation, I signed my name firmly on the dotted line. Ethan Vance was officially single. The final tie binding me to the deceit, the lies, and the manipulation was severed completely. I handed the pen back to my attorney, picked up my lightweight design portfolio containing my real, verified architectural blueprints, and walked out of the front door. As I stepped onto the pavement, the heavy glass doors of the building closed behind me. I paused on the top step, tilting my face upward into the bright, warm Chicago sun. A gentle breeze blew across the city streets, carrying away the lingering chill of the midnight shadows. For months, I had been trapped inside a nightmare, surrounded by the people I trusted most who were secretly plotting my downfall. I had faced ultimate heartbreak, stared into the depths of a cruel moral dilemma, and fought a quiet, dangerous war for my own survival. But standing here right now, the weight on my chest completely evaporated. The ultimate victory was not just the satisfying, poetic karma that hit Chloe Vance and Marcus Vance. The true victory was my own emotional resilience, my survival, and the beautiful, clean slate I held in my hands. I looked down the street at the towering skyscraper cranes in the distance. I smiled a genuine, happy smile. My name was Ethan Vance, my talent belonged solely to me, and my new life was finally beginning.